time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up.
Good afternoon. Have you all been warmed up? Yes?
Yeah.
No?
No inspiration.
Yes. Dirk, thank you very much.
We need to go apart now. Okay.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this with me. I want to start actually by going back a bit. You worked for BASF for how many years?
22.
22 years running their sustainability program.
Part of it running their sustainability program, and then in other functions, but always still dedicated to sustainability.
So am I right in saying after 22 years that you had an option to kind of kick back, hang up your sustainability spurs and maybe go into retirement?
That's true. I would have normally retired as an executive within BASF next year. So I would be sitting on the terrace, watching the sunset, drinking a good glass of wine and enjoying life.
But instead you decided, you were approached by Volkswagen Group, 600,000 employees plus, and you decided to take, why did you decide to take that challenge?
Well, first of all, I think sustainability is my passion. And then I think both of us, we are in a generation which may be called the golden generation at one point in time. So we surfed the wave. And when you take such a decision at a certain point in life, you want to discuss it with your family. So the typical, come on, you know this, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, you're saying, hey kids, come down to breakfast, and they're really tired, and these big decisions have been taken. And my daughter to me said at that point in time, yeah, you should do it. Get out, clean up the mess you left, and do something for this one. And I think I'm currently very fortunate to be part of the Volkswagen Group to really drive sustainability and also deliver impact.
So, I mean, that's quite a big, so you felt you hadn't finished and you needed to continue this and do so in another very big environment, which is Volkswagen Group. You inherited a sustainability strategy, but you've been there a year now, and from the outside it looks like you've really already made quite a difference. And you launched your Regenerate Plus sustainable strategy. Can you explain to us what that means and what are the core principles of it?
Yeah, first of all, I think you arrive in a completely new setting. You felt it's a German company, it's a German DAX company, and it's different. It has a different culture. It has a different impact, as you said, 680,000 employees in most countries of the world, one of the biggest OEMs worldwide, driving transformation. And I said, okay, I want to be part of it. What and how can I do to transform it, particularly coming from the outside, bringing new thoughts. And when you come to an area where you are not, you ask questions. And one question was always, what is your definition of sustainability? And it very much boils down to electromobility. It very much boils down to decarbonization, very defined, very profound pathway to really get decarbonized. And then I said, but sustainability is more to it. And we started with our process in August, only 3 people, and at the end we enlarged it to more than 100. So we built our strategy internally, we engaged with the decision makers as part of the process to get their buy-in. And we were very much impacted by the Earth Overshoot Day, which last year was the 3rd of August. This year, most likely, it will be announced in July. And we said, just going to zero is not good enough. What do we need to do? Because the Earth Overshoot Day, moving to the 1st of January, is the wrong direction. What could we do? And we came up with our vision of becoming a nature and society positive mobility provider. So we're very much driven into the area to provide a positive impact. If we make it, we don't know. But not to take it, Stephen, is really the wrong approach. We have to be and get the impact, get the partners on board to really make this positive impact, because otherwise we would go into the wrong direction.
And because Volkswagen Group is 10 different brands, actually more than that, but 10 principal brands. How do you make sure that all of the brands are moving together with this and have the same vision? Is that a challenge, and how do you do it?
It's definitely not easy, but it is a point. First of all, engage all of them right from the beginning, so that it makes them those. And then it is kind of we said one size does not fit all, but all sizes need to fit into one. So our vision, we put it down to 4 dimensions: nature, society, and business. but also we added our employees to it because they are the real asset, the real driver. They need also directions and clarity and security, the North Star. And what we're doing is we're now engaging them all of the time, but what we also do, we break down all the targets down to brands and functions so that they know what they contribute adds to one of these 4 dimensions.
Can you give me an example of how an employee has inputted into the strategy from how things have bubbled up? Have you got any live examples of that?
Sure. First of all, I think the first thing we started with the board of directors. Yeah, and we started differently. We didn't present. We had workshops with the board of directors so that they're really engaged in the strategy, but rather than consuming and commenting, made them their own. And then we had several Teams meetings, which now is pretty easy to set it up internationally. And you communicate, you get input, and you're getting a lot of examples, very tangible examples. You know, there's an idea of using renewables instead of plastics in the processes. There are some ideas on this and the other end, and then you're really getting the engagement, and what you're getting is the pride of the people that they're getting part of it.
So you've already got an example of an employee whose idea came up through one of these environments, and is now, it's something that's in a vehicle that's helping the vehicle become.
Absolutely. And this is when you always direct it back to Regenerate Plus, to the strategy. People say, this is the frame, and this is how we contribute. And this is how we contribute towards positivity, for example. Yeah. These are the bigger things. Let's push for electromobility, push to circularity, push to form more biodiversity. But taking this small example, make it tangible, make it their own, that people can really strive and say, this was my contribution into the direction.
So many companies who've embarked on this ESG program and setting commitments for themselves. For example, the New York Times, we set a commitment to be net zero by 2030 on scope 1 and 2 of our emissions. But it's scope 3 that is the real challenge. It needs collaboration. You've got to go through all your supply chain. How are you doing that at Volkswagen?
In various ways. It is not only the supply chain, it's also the use phase, which I think is key, particularly when you look at EVs. If you don't have green energies to drive your electric cars, well, you have a different footprint. It is about engaging partnerships, building associations, and really driving it in terms of a lot of things. Let's say partnering with startups, partnering with all the other topics, because even with a, let's say, large company like Volkswagen, you can't do it alone. Sustainability is about partnerships, and there are some key examples. Circular economy needs a lot of partners to, let's say, close the loop. You need startups, and we launched an investment fund of $300 million recently, just only for startups on decarbonization. So we're really going on top of our value chain. We're launching a biodiversity fund next year with up to 25 million a year to drive biodiversity on top of what we're doing, always pushing in the direction of nature positivity, society positivity. But that always deserves partners. You can't do it alone.
I was going to ask about that because when we talk about ESG, it's kind of, we were speaking about this earlier, the environment part is the big E, the society part is interesting, and I want to talk about that. And then there's a governance, which actually most multinational organizations have been doing governance for a long time. So the environment, I think we understand, is about reducing emissions, reducing our impact on the climate. Society, though, how does that work for you? Can you give me some time? You spoke about biodiversity. Can you just unpack that for us a little bit?
But just for the climate one, just go to zero keeps us on the 3rd of August. We need to go into the positivity. So we're investing into DAC technology, direct carbon capture. We have a brand called MAN Energy Solutions, which really develops technologies which captures CO2 out of the atmosphere. So we need to push the envelope towards positivity. And if you look at the societal part, as you have asked, it is what kind of role does a company like Volkswagen play in society? What kind of values do we have? What kind of attitude do we transport? And I think here again you saw the big transformation of a company in the last years really moving to stand up. And maybe one key example was our CEO recently standing up on stage, making a very clear and firm commitment, towards the political party AfD, that this is not tolerant. And within sustainability as such, we gave our also society commitments. So this is one part. And the other part is really what are we doing in terms of donations, impact-driven topics, education, and engagement as well. So very much pushing this envelope.
And are you finding having a very clear sustainability strategy for the entire group is helping you recruit more young people? Is that part of the recruitment program as well? Because you see that employees want to work for a purposeful organization that's making a positive impact. Is that?
Recently I had a discussion with our controller, and you say normally controlling and financing and sustainability should go together, but maybe it's not directly linked. And he said to me, Dirk, when I interview, one of the first questions those talents have saying, what is about sustainability? Are you really walking the talk, or is it just shoeshine? And the reply of the controller is, you need to look at Dirk and the Regenerate Plus. We launched it besides some economically challenging situations. So it is definitely a topic for new and young talents, and to keep the good talents as well on board.
Right. It's very frustrating because we have 40 seconds left, and I have so many questions I want to ask you. So, but as we've only got now 35 seconds, my question is, if there are 2 or 3 things that you've learned in your career. I mean, you've been doing this now for a long time in the context of sustainability. And it's interesting to have sustainability was kind of sat outside the executive committee and now is right in the heart of, which is fantastic. But could you give us 2 or 3 pieces of advice for young CSOs, if such thing exists, what you would say to them that they should be doing?
The first thing is come with a tool, not a stick. A tool and a partnership is always, let's say, getting the impact you want. If you're coming with a stick, with a regulation, or the CEO said, normally it reaches in time as long as the command is. And if this is over, they give you an espresso because they said the cappuccino would take so long. Take the espresso early out. So come with a tool, not a stick. And the second advice is inspire your environment. If you inspire your environment, if you get the dynamic, if you get the passion, if you really get it into it, you will get a lot of fans and followers to drive this with you. And I think this is, let's say, what drove me through my career. Always passion, always energy, in for sustainability, but always in a partnership mode, not a policeman mode.
Dirk, thank you. We have to end it here, but can you just say thank you to your daughter for convincing you to continue going? We're very grateful.
I will introduce you at one point in time, and you will have it as well. You will keep going for the next 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dirk. Thank you.
It's time to wake up.